You ever have that moment when you're standing there, dripping wet, steam rising off your skin, not from a shower, but from scalding hot water someone just threw in your face, and realize you're no longer a man in his home, but a stranger in enemy territory? Yeah, that was me. It happened on a Wednesday. A regular, boring Wednesday, if there ever was one. I had just gotten home from a surprise business trip to DC, closed a six-figure deal in under 48 hours, came back to see my wife, maybe take her out to dinner. She didn't know I was back. I wanted to surprise her. Funny thing, though, I'm the one who got surprised. I walked into my own house, my name on the deed, mind you, and was greeted not by my wife, Rachel, but by her mother, Linda. That woman's been trouble since day one. You know the type, plastic smile, nose up in the air, always pretending you're just one mistake away from being garbage in her eyes. "Who the hell let you in?" she barked, storming out of the kitchen in her silk robe, holding a steaming kettle. I was confused. Thought maybe she was startled. I smiled, lifted my bag. "Just got back early." Thought I. Wham! The kettle tilted. A wave of boiling water hit my chest and shoulder. My skin lit up in pain like it had caught fire. "You think you can just walk in here like you belong?" Linda screamed. "Beggars who can't work. You need to get out of this house and never show your face again." I stumbled back, stunned. This wasn't a reaction. This was calculated hate. But here's the kicker. She had no idea. She didn't know that the man she just kicked out of his own home made $75,000 a month. $75,000 per month. The software firm I co-founded just landed a huge government contract. My income? Clean, legit, and documented. But to her, I was just the guy who married her daughter and drove a rusty Ford while investing in startups. I looked around the living room, my living room, saw the photos Rachel and I took on our honeymoon, the coffee table I built with my own hands, the rug we picked out together in Charleston. And then I walked out, burning, but silent. I didn't fight. I didn't yell. I vanished. Next morning, I booked myself a penthouse suite downtown. Woke up to texts from Rachel, 27 of them, to be exact. But I didn't answer. I had a better plan. At 6 a.m., her mother woke up to the sound of construction. I had hired a team overnight. Not just any team. Demolition. See, I own the house. Every nail, every wall, every inch. So while she slept like a queen in a bed she thought was hers, we were tearing up the driveway, removing the front door, disconnecting the power. I even had the toilet uninstalled. By 8:30 a.m., Linda was outside in her robe, barefoot, screaming like a banshee, standing on a front lawn that now looked like a war zone. Her face? Shock, confusion, terror. "You're insane," she screeched. I just handed her a notarized letter that read, "Effective immediately, all residents of this property are being evicted for violation of homeowner terms. This property is undergoing full restoration by its legal owner, Mr. Thomas Caldwell." Yeah, that's me. But it gets worse. Because while all this was happening, I checked my home office security footage, motion-activated, cloud-backed. Rachel didn't know I'd installed it a month ago after noticing money missing from our joint account. What I saw? Rachel, 2 nights ago, sneaking into my office in nothing but a black robe, giggling. With her, Jake, my old college roommate. A bartender. Broke. Tattooed. And apparently, my replacement. I watched as they rolled around on my leather chair, the one I bought to celebrate my first million, and then moved to the desk, knocking over my awards, my files. She whispered, "He's so clueless." He laughed. "You said he was out for a week." "I needed a real man," she said. I paused the video. That's when the pain hit. Not just anger. Not just betrayal. It was humiliation. That gut-deep ache when someone you built a life with, a future with, treats you like nothing more than a fool with a paycheck. And the worst part? I hadn't even gotten to the confrontation yet. That was still to come. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I just sat in that penthouse suite, the city skyline glowing behind me, watching the footage on loop. Her moans, her little whispers, like knives scraping inside my skull. My hand clenched so hard around the whiskey glass, I didn't realize I'd cracked it until blood trickled down my palm. The rage didn't come in one wave. It was slow, methodical, a simmering thing. I was raised better than to hit a woman. But Rachel? Rachel had gone out of her way to spit on everything I'd built. And Jake, that bastard, had the audacity to walk into my house, wear my robe, and act like he owned the place. I paid for his DUI lawyer back in college. That's the thanks I got. By the next morning, I had a plan. Rachel called again, then again, left voicemails full of fake concern. Baby, I don't know what Mom said, but I didn't mean for her to kick you out. Line number 1. I haven't seen Jake in forever. Line number 2. I love you. That one stung the worst. Because it used to be true. I answered on the third day. Tommy, she breathed. I've been going crazy. I know, I said calmly. I saw the footage. Dead silence. Then a click. Then what footage? You and Jake. My office. The chair. The desk. All of it. She paused. I could hear the panic rise in her breath, the slight shake in her voice that gave her away. I was drunk. He came by to talk. It wasn't. Don't insult me, Rachel. I didn't plan it, she blurted. You're always working, always gone. I was lonely. That's when something snapped inside me. I was gone making 75 grand a month, so you could live like a queen, Rachel. I was gone so your mom could get her Botox. So you could shop in New York while I slept 3 hours a night writing code. More silence. Then, with the coldness of someone flipping a switch, she said, you should have been a better husband. It was like talking to someone I didn't know anymore. That girl I met in the college library, who wore oversized hoodies and took notes in perfect handwriting, she was gone. Replaced by this ruthless, manipulative creature who saw love as leverage. I took a breath, then hung up. Later that afternoon, I had a locksmith change every lock. Filed the eviction paperwork. Her name was never on the deed. Never on the loan. I'd handled everything. She brought drama. I brought foundation. That night, she showed up with a suitcase and a smirk. You can't lock me out, she said. We're married. Correct, I replied. And you'll be served papers tomorrow. But as of now, I recommend you go stay at your mother's. She tried to push past me, but I stood firm. You think you're going to get away with this? She hissed. You think you can just throw me out? I already did. Then she did something I'll never forget. She spat. Right in my face. No hesitation. You're going to regret this. You'll come crawling back when that money doesn't make you feel less lonely. I wiped my face. I'd rather eat glass. She left, but not before smashing her elbow into my car mirror on the way out. I watched her walk down the driveway, heels clacking like war drums. And for the first time in days, I smiled. Because I was done being her punching bag. What came next? That was just the beginning. The divorce papers were served at 9:17 a.m. the next day. Delivered straight to her mother's house, while they were both outside gardening like everything was normal. The process server said Rachel snatched the envelope, looked confused, then read the first line and went pale. Linda, standing next to her in her floral gloves, actually laughed, until Rachel read aloud the words, irreconcilable differences. Full asset control. Prenuptial agreement activated. Then neither of them laughed. You see, what they forgot, what they never bothered to ask, was that I had my attorney draft a prenup before we got married. Rachel had signed it with one of those fake little giggles, back when she thought love meant letting me handle the boring legal stuff. I told her it was a formality, just to protect us both. She didn't even read it. Didn't even ask. That prenup? Ironclad. She walked into the marriage with $3,200 in student loans and a Louis Vuitton purse. She walks out with exactly that. Not a penny more. By noon, she called again. 5 times. Then she switched numbers. Left voicemails. First came the rage. You heartless bastard. Then the tears. Please, Tommy, can we talk? Then the threats. I'll tell everyone you hit me. I'll ruin your name. That last one, I sent directly to my lawyer, along with the footage of her and Jake. I didn't respond. Instead, I focused on building my life back. Or maybe forward. It's strange how quickly you adjust when you realize everything you thought was stable was just a painted stage set. The love, the vows, the shared dreams, all props. And she was just the lead actress in a long con. But there was still one thing left to do. I hadn't seen Jake since the video, and I wasn't looking to fight. I wasn't going to swing or scream or throw punches like a teenager. I just wanted to look him in the eye, one last time, and let him know he didn't break me. So I found out where he worked. A dive bar just outside the city, where the lights flickered and the floor stuck to your shoes. I waited until closing hour. Walked in, sat at the far end of the counter. He didn't recognize me at first. Or maybe he did, and just pretended he didn't. What ya drinking? He asked, tossing a rag over his shoulder. I looked him dead in the eye. You sat on my chair. He froze. I could see his mind scrambling, calculating distance to the door, reading my posture, trying to guess whether I was about to swing. I didn't. I leaned forward and said, calmly, "You fumbled your life for a few cheap thrills with a woman who throws away loyalty like gum wrappers. Good luck with that." He opened his mouth. "Don't. You don't get words." I left. By the time I got back to my suite, I'd blocked Rachel's number on every device I owned. My lawyer told me she tried contesting the prenup, claimed she was coerced. It didn't work. The footage, the messages, the timestamps, it all crushed her case like a tin can. Linda? Last I heard, she'd moved in with her sister in Oregon, still telling people I was some unemployed loser who abused her daughter. Funny how people rewrite stories when the truth burns too hot to hold. I kept quiet. I didn't post online. Didn't trash her name. I just got better. Focused. Built faster, harder. Opened a second branch for my firm in Austin. Started therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I'd spent too long pretending I wasn't hurting. Some nights were still hard. The silence after dinner. The empty side of the bed. The echo of her laugh in my memory. Tainted now, but still there, like a ghost wearing her face. But then I remembered her words, that final night. "You'll be crawling back." And I'd smile, because I wasn't crawling anywhere. I was soaring. 3 weeks after the final court hearing, I came home to find a white envelope taped to my apartment door. No return address, no handwriting, just my name printed neatly, like it had come from a printer. Inside was a letter, and signed, but I knew her handwriting. "Tommy, I know you probably hate me. Maybe you should, but I've been thinking a lot. About us. About everything. I wasn't fair to you. I let things get in my head. I made mistakes. I'm sorry. I really am. If you ever want to talk, I'll be at Cafe Luna next Sunday, 3 p.m. I won't message again." I read it twice, then once more, and then I laughed. Not a bitter laugh. Not sarcastic. Just a small, tired exhale of disbelief. She thought we could talk. Like two exes over coffee. Like nothing burned down between us. But still, I went. I don't know why. Maybe for closure. Maybe for curiosity. Maybe to confirm to myself that I wasn't imagining how far she'd fallen from the girl I used to love. She was already there when I arrived. Wearing a beige coat. Hair curled just enough to look like she hadn't tried too hard. But she had. I could see it in the way she kept checking her reflection in the spoon. When she saw me, her face lit up like nothing had ever happened. "Tommy." I sat down, but didn't touch the menu. "You look good," she said quietly. "You shouldn't be here." She bit her lip. Her eyes were already moist. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. For Jake. For my mom. For the way I treated you. I was stupid. You were cruel." I corrected. "Calculated. Manipulative." She looked down. "I know." I waited. "I've been seeing a therapist," she said. "I'm trying to figure out why I do the things I do. Why I push people away when they love me. It's not an excuse, but—" "Don't," I said. "Don't wrap it in therapy words. You made choices. You looked me in the eyes and lied. Repeatedly. That wasn't trauma. That was intent." She nodded slowly, taking the blow without flinching. I'll give her that much. She didn't cry. "Not yet." "Do you hate me?" she whispered. "No," I said. "I don't think I could. But I don't trust you. And I definitely don't want you." That one hit her. She blinked fast, lips trembling now. I thought maybe we could try again. Start slow. I leaned forward. "You cheated on me in my own house, with a man I once called my brother. You lied to my face, over and over, while spending my money, living under my roof. You didn't just break vows, you nuked them." Her eyes spilled over. "I miss you," she croaked. "I miss us." "You miss the life?" I said. "The stability. The money. The way I made you feel safe." She didn't answer. She didn't need to. I stood up, dropped the $20 on the table. "This is for your coffee." She reached out, touched my wrist. "Tommy, please." For a second, just a fraction, I remembered the good moments. The Sundays in bed, the road trips, the nights she'd curl up against me and whisper that I was her whole world. Then I looked down at her fingers and remembered that those same hands had gripped Jake's back while calling me clueless. I pulled away. "You had a king," I said. "You went looking for a jester. Now enjoy the circus." And I walked out. No turning back. No regrets. She called again that night. One last voicemail. I didn't even listen to it. Just deleted it. I blocked her number, for real this time. And then I called Amanda. Amanda was someone I'd met at a tech conference 2 months earlier. Sharp, honest, sarcastic as hell. She'd sent me a message after hearing about the divorce. If you ever need to talk, I'm great at pretending to care. I like that. It was real. Raw. We met for dinner 2 nights later. She didn't ask me about Rachel. She didn't try to fix anything. She just listened, then told me about her own scars. We laughed. A lot. And for the first time in months, the weight in my chest eased. I still had the scars. Still had the memories. But I wasn't broken. Not anymore. 6 months passed. That house. The one I built from nothing. The one where betrayal carved itself into every corner. I sold it. Not out of anger. Just necessity. Some places carry too many ghosts. I didn't want to walk past the hallway where I overheard her whispering to Jake. I didn't want to see the couch where she cried fake tears. I didn't want to live where love had died pretending to be alive. I bought a new place in Denver. Modern. Clean. Empty in the best kind of way. I filled it with things that mattered to me. Not to impress anyone. Not to decorate for show. But to finally live like the man I always was. Focused. Grounded. Clear. Rachel tried to contact me again. Not directly. She wasn't that bold anymore. But through mutual friends, little social media jabs, even commenting on one of Amanda's posts. Petty things like, funny how fast some people move on. As if she hadn't already moved on before our marriage even ended. As if I had broken the vows. As if loyalty could be replaced with pity. Amanda laughed when she saw it. Is that the ex? She's like a glitchy pop-up ad. Persistent, annoying, and easy to ignore. God, I needed that laugh. Amanda and I weren't serious. Not yet. We both had our own burns to heal. But with her, it was easy. Real. She knew the worst parts of me and didn't flinch. She called me out when I hid behind sarcasm. She didn't let me wallow. And I didn't try to save her or fix her. We were two people who'd been through fire and weren't afraid of the heat anymore. One night, we sat on the balcony, city lights flickering like broken stars, and she asked, "What do you miss most?" I thought she meant Rachel. But she didn't. About who you used to be, she clarified. I stared out at the skyline, searching for an honest answer. I miss believing someone had my back, I said finally. I miss thinking that love meant safety. Amanda nodded. You still can. Just don't give it to the wrong person next time. I smiled. I won't. And then, like a test from the universe, Rachel's name popped up on my email the next morning. Subject line, please read. I almost deleted it. But I opened it. Not out of hope. Just curiosity. Her message was short. I'm pregnant. I don't know who the father is. Jake left. I made a mistake, Tom. You were the only one who ever really cared about me. I just wanted you to know. I'm sorry. For everything. You didn't deserve what I did to you. I hope you're happy. Please don't respond. I just needed to say it. I stared at the screen. Not a single emotion rose. No pain. No sympathy. No rage. Just a clean, sharp clarity. This was the woman I almost gave my entire life to. This was the woman who spat in my face, slept with my friend, lied through her teeth, and now, 6 months later, only had regret left. But here's the truth people don't tell you. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation. Sometimes it's silence. So I closed the email. And I never replied. Instead, I walked outside, took a deep breath of crisp air, texted Amanda a photo of my morning coffee, and wrote, still alive. Still grateful. She replied with a heart. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine again. And that was more than enough. A year to the day since everything burned down, I stood in front of a mirror and barely recognized the man looking back. He looked stronger, not in the gym rat kind of way, but in the quiet kind. Like someone who'd walked through hell without asking for applause. The lines on his face were deeper, yeah, but his eyes were clearer, calmer. Like someone who didn't flinch when the past whispered his name. I was packing for a flight to Lisbon. Business, mostly, but I added 3 extra days for no reason at all, except that now, I could. Freedom hits different when you've earned it. Rachel had become nothing more than a ghost that occasionally bumped into reality. A photo in a tagged post. A name mentioned in a mutual friend's story. Rumors said she'd moved back in with her dad. That the pregnancy ended badly. Miscarriage, maybe. Or an abortion. Jake had vanished, deleted socials, skipped town. Who knows? I didn't dig. I didn't care. But here's the part one never expected. I didn't hate her anymore. I thought I would. For a long time I did. But now I just pitied her. Because when someone throws away something real, It's not a loss for you. It's a disaster for them. And the further I walked from that version of my life, the more I realized she wasn't the fire. She was the smoke. Thick, distracting, choking, but never the source of warmth. Amanda met me at the airport. She wasn't coming with me, but she insisted on seeing me off. That's who she is. Doesn't beg to be in the spotlight, just shows up when it counts. Lisbon, she said, grinning. Look at you, international man of clarity. I smirked. You sure you don't want to come? I'm sure, she said. You need this one for yourself. I pulled her in, kissed her forehead. She smelled like jasmine and courage. Don't fall in love with a Portuguese woman, she whispered. No promises. We laughed. She stood there watching me walk through security, mouthing the words, "Don't forget who you are," as I turned one last time. The flight was smooth. The air crisp when I landed. I checked into the hotel, dropped my bags, and walked out into the city without a plan. Just my feet, my thoughts, and a heart that wasn't bleeding anymore. And somewhere in the middle of an old cobbled alleyway, it hit me. Everything she did, everything she shattered, it all led me here. Not just to Lisbon, not just to a different woman, but to myself. The man who used to bend over backward to make others feel loved now stood straight, knowing he didn't owe anyone pieces of himself just to be accepted. I stopped at a tiny cafe, ordered espresso, sat in silence. An old couple passed by, laughing, arms around each other like teenagers. For a brief second, a shadow of longing brushed my chest. Not for Rachel, not even for Amanda, just for the idea of someone who stays. But I didn't chase it. Not yet. I sipped my coffee, took in the noise of the street, and smiled. Some stories don't get a neat ending. Some just fade out while you learn to breathe again. But mine was still being written. And this chapter, this life without her, was already the best one yet. 3 weeks after Lisbon, I found myself standing at a rooftop party in Chicago, surrounded by people who only knew the version of me that came after everything fell apart. That version didn't apologize for taking up space. He didn't flinch when someone brought up marriage. He didn't hesitate when it came time to leave a room that no longer felt right. And that night, as the skyline glittered around me and laughter bounced off wine glasses, I saw Amanda walking in late, wearing a dark green dress and that same unapologetic confidence that made you forget anyone else was even there. She found me leaning against the balcony, drink in hand, city lights in my eyes. Told you not to fall in love with anyone overseas, she said, smirking. Guess I'll have to fall in love here instead. Her smile faltered for a second, just long enough for me to catch it, but then she turned her face away, pretending to admire the skyline. What? I asked. She shrugged. You ever think about how different things would be if she never cheated? I used to, I said. A lot. Then I realized, if she hadn't cheated, I would have stayed. And that would have been the real tragedy. Amanda nodded slowly, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. You don't hate her? I did. For months. I wanted her to hurt like I did. But now, I paused. Now I just hope she finally realizes what she threw away. Amanda looked at me like she was trying to decide something. Then she said it. You know I love you, right? It wasn't a confession. It wasn't even romantic. It was a statement, like saying the sun rises in the east. But it hit me harder than anything Rachel ever whispered. I looked at her, really looked, and everything that had ever hurt, every moment of betrayal, every sleepless night, every time I questioned my own worth, it all folded neatly behind that moment, like a curtain finally drawn after the final act. I know, I said, and I think, I'm finally ready to love someone back. She leaned against me, not dramatically, not for show, just there, like a home I didn't know I was walking toward all this time. No fireworks, no swelling music, just peace. And peace, after chaos, feels like the most dangerous kind of joy, because it's so quiet, you almost don't trust it. But I did, because I'd earned it. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I got one last message from an unknown number. Just a photo. It was Rachel, holding a baby. No caption, no name, no explanation. I stared at it for a while. Not out of pain, just curiosity. A year ago, that image would have wrecked me. Now, it felt like someone else's movie. I didn't reply. I deleted the photo. Then I walked over to my window, looked out at the city that watched me rebuild, and I exhaled. Everything she tried to destroy, my pride, my peace, my belief in love, it was still here, and stronger than ever. It was raining the night I knew the chapter had truly closed. Not the cinematic kind of rain, the soft, melancholy drizzle that soaks the streets and makes city lights blur like old memories. I was driving home from dinner with Amanda. Nothing fancy, just burgers, a dumb movie. Her laughing so hard she snorted water through her nose. Real, unfiltered. The kind of night that makes you feel grateful for silence between two people who don't need to pretend. The wipers kept rhythm on the windshield as I stopped at a red light, and without thinking, I glanced at the rearview mirror. No ghosts. No shadows of the man I used to be. Just me. Whole. Scarred in all the right places. Back at my apartment, Amanda kicked off her shoes and dropped onto the couch like she owned the place. And maybe she did, in a way that Rachel never did, because Amanda never tried to change me. She didn't want the illusion of a perfect life. She wanted truth. I poured 2 glasses of wine, handed her one, and before I sat down, I opened the drawer of the side table. Inside was a small velvet box. Not a ring. Not yet. Just a bracelet. Simple. Understated. The kind of thing she once pointed at in a market and said, "That's exactly my style." No diamonds. Just meaning. I handed it to her. She raised an eyebrow. "Is this?" "No," I said. "Not yet. Just a thank you. For not asking me to be anyone but me." She opened it slowly, like it might explode, and when she saw it, she smiled. Not the way Rachel used to, performative, calculated. This smile was quiet, genuine, like something sacred had been understood without needing to be spoken. She leaned into me, head on my shoulder, and we just sat there. Rain on the windows, wine on our breath, a silence that didn't feel empty, but full. And I thought about everything. The betrayal, the boiling water, the lies, the footage, the heartbreak that almost unraveled me. And then I thought about the man who rose from it all. Stronger, smarter, softer, too, but only for those who earned it. If I could go back in time and stop her from cheating, I wouldn't. Because the worst thing she ever did led me to the best version of myself. So here's what I learned. People will hurt you. Some on purpose. Some just because they don't know how not to. But what you do after, that's who you really are. Don't chase closure. Don't wait for apologies. Build your peace. Guard your heart. Love like hell, but only when it's returned with the same fire. And when someone throws boiling water on you, figuratively or literally, don't scream. Don't beg. Just walk away. And rebuild. Because you were always the prize. They just couldn't see it. But you will. One day. In the mirror. In someone's arms. In the sound of your own laugh returning to your throat. That's your ending. Not them. You.